my name is Eliana Martin, and today I'm going to share my humorous interpretation with you. Composer is a word which here means a person who sits in a room, muttering and humming and figuring out what notes the orchestra is going to play. But last night, the composer was not muttering, he was not humming, he was not moving, or even breathing. This is called decomposing. It is a fateful night at the orchestra. The composer is dead. And although every instrument has an alibi, the inspector is convinced that the murderer is lurking in the orchestra. Through interrogating the suspects, the inspector is challenged to appreciate each instrument's unique contribution. You see, part of music's beauty and intrigue is that it is art in time. The seminal works of Brahms, Beethoven, and Bach are not mere notes on a page. The beauty in these masterpieces can only be perceived in the moments they are heard. Because musicians are human, they will sometimes butcher the notes. Yet it is only through determination, hard work, and a fair number of mistakes that anyone ever eventually brings music to life. Young and old, musicians continue to contribute to passing on the legacy of great composers through performance. And we all contribute when we provide a listening ear at the orchestra. The Composer is Dead by Lemony Snicket. I, the inspector, swear on my own intelligence and good looks, I will solve this terrible crime to humanity and classical music. I will begin by interrogating all of the usual suspects. Like all men in this line of work, this composer had many enemies lurking in the orchestra. They can lurk all they like, but I will find them wherever they are lurking. I will begin by interrogating the strings. Violins, where were you on the night in question? We were performing a waltz. We played graceful melodies so the ladies and gentlemen could spin round and around and around and around until they felt dizzy and somewhat nauseous. This kept us busy all night. Aha! Perhaps you murdered the composer for making you play so much. Don't be ridiculous. Violins are the stars of any orchestra. If we murdered the composer, we would have to find work at square dances and romantic restaurants. That's true. What about you, cellos and basses? We were providing accompaniment. You can't waltz without a reliable 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's boring, but it's steady work. Aha! Perhaps you murdered the composer for giving you such boring things to play. On the contrary, we don't feel the need to show off like certain stringed instruments we can mention. Well, I guess that takes care of the strings. Oh, the violas. I forgot all about you.
Everyone forgets about us. We play the notes in the chords that nobody cares about. We play crucial counter melodies nobody hears. We often have to stay late after performances and stack up all the chairs. We spent last night feeling sorry for ourselves, as usual. But we did notice that the concertmaster was acting very strange. The concertmaster is the best violin player in the entire orchestra and is often accused of treachery. She was talking and laughing with the composer and carrying a strange black case. Oh, I was talking with the composer about my cadenza, fancy solo part. I would never murder someone who gave me such an excellent opportunity to show off. Whoa! Well, you all have very good alibis, but the composer is still dead. Perhaps the murderer is lurking in the woodwinds. Where were you last night, woodwinds? With notes, we're doing bird imitations. It seems like that's all we ever do. Whenever the orchestra needs a bird, there we are.
Aha! Perhaps you murdered the composer for making you act like birds.
Don't make us laugh. clarinets are not sneaky. By the way, Inspector, that's a very handsome jacket you got on. Such shiny buttons, and the color really is very flattering.
Oh, well, thank you. Oboe? Ignore them. If I were you, I'd question the brass instruments instead. They're a violent lot. The brass? You really think so? You can trust me. Everyone trusts me. After all, I set off the entire orchestra by playing an A. Well, you can't argue with that. Brass, what do you have to say for yourselves? Last night was incredibly important to us. We announced the arrival of kings and presidents. We led soldiers into battle and had a parade when they got home. Our ears are still ringing from all the ruckus. Aha! Perhaps you murdered the composer for making you play so loud. We love being loud. Brass instruments are brassy by nature. Besides, loud is patriotic. We percussionists were there too. We drummed, we percussed, we played xylophone and symbolism. We heard the beat and beat the herd. We struck up and got down. We conquered the concert, battered the band, and hit the audience right off the roof and got the phone numbers of several very attractive young sailors. By then, we were exhausted, too beat to commit murder. And what about you, Tuba? Were you involved with any of these distasteful shenanigans? No, I'm a confirmed bachelor. I was home all night playing cards with my landlady the harp, taking sips of milk from a little blue cup. Why, I'm utterly baffled. I've questioned all of the instruments, and none of them seems to be the murderer. The violins waltzed, the cellos and basses provided accompaniment, the violas mourned their fate while the concertmaster showed off, the flutes did bird imitations repeatedly, and the reed instrument had the good taste to admire my jacket. The trumpets held a parade in honor of our great nation, the percussion beat the band, and the tuba stayed home playing cards with his landlady the harp, taking sips of warm milk from a little blue cup. But the composer is still dead. Of course! The conductor! You've been murdering composers for years! In fact, wherever there's a conductor, you're sure to find a dead composer. Beethoven? Dead. Bach? Dead. Mozart, Haydn, Mahler, dead. Chopin, romantic, dead. Tchaikovsky, dramatic, dead. Stravinsky, ecstatic, dead. Schoenberg, incomprehensible, but dead. Liszt, dead. Debussy, dead. Vivaldi, Wagner, Handel, Britten, Mendelssohn, Coppola, Dvorak, Shostakovich, Corelli, Bellini, Puccini, Rossetti, Sonato, Pasolini, Boccherini, Verdi, J.C. Bach, W. Bach, C.B. Bach, Offenbach! Dead composers in the musical world, and it's all because of one man and one little stick. Arrest him at once! Not so fast. I didn't do it alone. All of us have murdered a composer at one time or another. But we also keep composers alive. Without strings and woodwinds, without brass and percussion, there would be no composing at all. Except for various types of non-orchestral music. If you wish to keep the work of the world's greatest composers alive, you're going to have to allow for a little murder here and there. But that's injustice. Those who want justice can go to the police. But those who want to hear something a little more interesting should go to the orchestra.